because our time is now. Because the champ is here.
Welcome to the Gonzo Radio Sports Desk. Hi, how you doing? I am your 2019 Diamond Dolls League champion, Big Daddy Gonzo. Good to meet you. Hi, good to see you. I unfortunately, there's a championship belt that goes with it, but the only problem is that the former champion still sleeps with it, even though he's no longer the champion. I'm going to need to have you dry clean it, or at least sanitize it there,
Acid
Tim, before
wash.
I need it washed before you send it to the real champ, the guy who actually won the league this year and who gets to hold on to the belt for the next year. Now, I personally, right after the end of the season, if I'm not champion again, I would hand it over directly, okay, because it is a great responsibility, and the new champion would want to have the belt.
It should be a ceremonial.
But I don't. So
type thing.
the new champion does not have the belt, so he cannot show it on his podcast. And I hope Tim is one of those creepers who doesn't get in the chat room. By the way, get in the chat. You can wish me, and you can wish the gentleman seated across the table from me, across the studio from me, who is also a champion, Mr. Damaz, Mr. Matthew Masaracchio. What the hell's your middle name?
Todd.
Matthew Todd.
Makes perfect sense.
Yes, perfect sense. You got, is it with two D's at least?
I believe so.
I was going to say, because you have all of these double letter.
know.
Your name is a Scrabble monster.
66 points, double letter for the A's.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just lay it down and then walk away. Just that the game is over. And it's the Todd part. The Todd part is the one that does it.
Yeah, Todd for sure.
So I managed to squeak myself out all the way to a 10-6 record. Of course, winning my last 4 to get into the playoffs, and then 3 boom, boom, boom across. And thank you, Mr. Saquon Barkley. Thank you, Mr. Devontae Parker. Thank you, Mr. Terry McLaurin. Those three guys, Travis Kelce had a good game as well. Mm-hmm. But Saquon went off. Austin Eckler had a decent game. You had like 17, 17, 17, and 28, and then 54.3.
Yeah.
26.
Austin Eckler was a guy coming in this year in drafts that were like middle rounds. Melvin Gordon was hurt early. There was contract issues.
Right.
And they just, even though when Melvin Gordon came back, they still continued to use Eckler in the offense because he has a specific skill set. Oh. Just catching the ball and the way he's shifty and yards after catch. The guy is super talented. Yeah.
Fantasy consistency.
Yeah, just super
that
talented.
Dude, week in and week out, they would go ahead and they would project him to be 13, 14, 15 points. And then eventually started to creep up to 16, 17, 18.
Yeah.
And he would still exceed those projections.
Well, we showed you last week.
week.
He was technically a first-round pick this year in terms of point production.
Yeah.
He was late first-round pick.
Yeah.
So just an
got
amazing
him in
year.
the sixth round.
Yeah.
Sixth round.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not one to brag. I'm not one to brag. I don't brag about my accomplishments.
Me either. Yeah.
But I once again I need to remind everybody out there who scoffs, especially at myself and the Guru's Guru. We are the Bruise Brothers. You need to scoff at this, okay? 78 years of experience. We've both been doing this for 29 years each. Back when we were doing it with Spiral Notebooks and USA Today and Sun Sentinel and the radio, and we would actually call in and torment radio hosts. Are you sure that number's right? Yeah, I just got it off of the American, what was it, UPI, we used to torture people. Okay, Hank Goldberg used to hang up with you. Hey, how about that fantasy click? It's okay. And for those of you that scoff, I've been playing for 11 years and I've won 2 championships and I'm good. Okay, you're good. Okay, but there seems to be just a soupçon of disrespect. Okay, so remember, when you talk about the Bruise Brothers, you better put some respect on our name. I mean, the same goes with what was the name of your team? You always have an ironic name for your team every year.
I like to change it year to year. I've had some great team names. This year, my team name that I won with in Danny's league was Luck Had Nothing to Do with It.
Right.
Which I thought made sense, right? Well, unfortunately for Mr. Andrew Luck, his retirement, I thought that kind of played well. But I've had some great names. Like one of my favorites of all time was Bert and Ernie's Secret. That was my team name for many years.
Little homophobic.
Well, I'm just concerned. I just want answers.
Manly man.
You know, the irony of all that, not to get so sidetracked, but there's so much stuff trending in news. And I know football is important today. There's a lot of games that matter, mostly in the 4 o'clocks.
Right.
But there was
tons.
There was something on the internet today about a transgender woman having a baby inseminated by something. Go look it up. It's so insane. I'm not against people's happiness and raising kids and having a family.
You don't want people to be happy.
But the way it's set up, it's weird, and it's catching a lot of feedback and stuff like that. So anyway, unrelated. I won a title in Danny's league, and I preached.
Are there any transgender women in Danny's league?
I'm not sure. There may be one. I'm not going to call them out, though, or her out.
A few of them, maybe 1 or 2.
We preached earlier in our earlier shows, pre-draft shows, and certainly as the season started going and stuff like that, was that you didn't win your drafts necessarily in the earlier rounds, because if you go by what we talked about last week, clearly it was two guys in the first rounds actually hit value. So it was the later rounds, I think, is where you got to build your foundation for your team. And I was fortunate enough. I was high on Miles Sanders this year. I did draft him. I was high on Mark Andrews this year. I did draft him. Those guys were strong. Miles Sanders, the last 6 weeks of the season, is second in yards from scrimmage. So certainly, I also finished 10-6.
Yeah,
I won my last 4 games, got some momentum, and then obviously went through and won the title. But clearly, it's terms of just building foundation through your draft, making sure that you've got solid picks later in your drafts. Those aren't times, again, where I've stressed and stressed and stressed. The focus on those later rounds has to be the same as in the earlier rounds, because you're looking for guys that are available that can give you solid floors with potential upside. And both those guys, fortunately for me, they blew it out of the water.
Well, I mean, and most fantasy drafts are 12 to 14 rounds. I mean, really short drafts are 12 rounds. 10-team leagues, things like that, even 8-team leagues, which is crazy. But if you have a 14-round draft, 13 or 14 rounds, I still hear schmucks on draft day going, oh, well, once I pick my quarterback, then it's just potluck. It was a defense. And it was like, listen, Cupcake, okay? This tells me that you're really not focusing on 6, 7, and 8. Or 8, 9, and 10. Okay, you're not really focusing. You're just waiting to pick your quarterback, and then you're going to kick back. All right, I'm done. What's the best available defense? What's the best available kicker? Right. And my 5th string, my WR5.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you an example.
Morons.
All year long, what do? We're hitting the waiver wires. These players that are on the waiver wires, they don't just get signed as the year goes on. These guys are in the pool during our draft, so they're available for all of us to be taking them.
Right.
And yet, like you're saying, some of the apathy comes into play in the later rounds where you're not looking for guys like that. Now, again, the waiver wires are very important, and there are guys that do come along as the year progresses that aren't on most people's radars. I get that. But your approach has to be consistent from round 1 through whatever round your draft is. You have to be able to load your team with balance. You have to load later in the draft with guys that have potential upside, because that's what you're wanting for in those rounds.
Oh, yeah.
What kind of floor are you looking for in round 13 for a player? It's probably pretty low compared to what the upside could be. So, again, it's just a constant search for players that have high upside.
Well, that's where you get rookies. That's where you get rookies and speculation players. But, I mean, also, I'll tell you right now, next year, my round 12 will probably be either defense or kicker. Round 13 will be defense or kicker. And then round 14 will be my backup quarterback. I want to pick a bye-date quarterback. Yeah. And that's it. That is it. That's kind of how we did it this year, too.
I'll debate your bye round because, again, it's so difficult to look out 6, 8, 10 weeks in the NFL and even predict strength of schedule because teams change every time.
With pick 14, you can take a shot.
Well, listen, it's not a bad approach.
Jameis Winston is key, dude. Okay, we picked Wentz in the 10th round, okay, and came back in the 14th and picked Winston. Okay, nobody wanted anything to do with Winston. Nobody had an idea what was going to happen. Me and Russ were like, Bruce Arians, he's a quarterback whisperer. He can make anybody great. He made Carson Palmer better, for God's sake. Okay, so we went back on by virtue of the fact that he had a good matchup on Wentz's bye date. Okay, we didn't know that Wentz was going to be a basket case, and that Winston, who is on the verge of joining the 30-30 club.
30-30 club, first
the
ever.
30-30 club.
Yeah, not a great club.
Okay.
Now, it's good in baseball because Jose Canseco got there as a rookie.
Right.
But, that's not the way. He was 40-40, actually.
And generally, we like to keep this show clean, okay? But at about week 9, because it was right after his 5-interception game, where he still managed to score 28 points.
Yeah, with a minus 10
Yeah.
with those 5 picks.
We coined, okay, kids, earmuffs, get ready for a bad word. We nicknamed Jameis Winston Fucko.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Because you got the O in the end. It's not a curse word.
It had the chain. Yeah. We had a chant with it. We were getting ready to make T-shirts because then he comes back with a month of December that essentially helped carry me through the playoffs. Now, he imploded in the championship game with 4 more interceptions. Fucko. But he still managed to post a 17.8.
Yeah, which is probably right about where he was supposed to be valued.
No, it was below his line.
Was it really?
Yeah, like 9 points below his line.
He was projected.
Yeah, the projections were 28.
Well, that gives you the opinion about a projection.
Maybe 11 points below his line. But yeah, the projections are just a guideline.
Pretty much.
Okay, that's all they are, is a guideline.
I will say this, though, talking about quarterbacks, and you're saying, obviously, I would be hard-pressed to find a team this year that won a championship with Mahomes on their roster. Now, that's not an indictment on Mahomes because he's playing fantastic now. But what I'm saying is this. What I'm saying is that we said it, and I'll say it until we're done playing fantasy football 50 years from now. Quarterbacks in the earlier rounds are a huge risk. And they're a huge risk because, one, to understand the points and how we broke it down last week, it comes down to point separation. Next year, you have bet your bottom dollar Lamar Jackson is going somewhere in the first round.
Good.
And I guarantee you that team's not going to win a championship next year because, as we alluded to, the number 8 point scorer this year was a quarterback for the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen, who I guarantee you will not be within 10 rounds of the first 5 quarterbacks taken next year.
Right.
Okay, so point taken.
And there you'll be in round 11 going,
I'll take Josh Allen.
Josh Allen.
Yeah, okay. So now, again, could Josh Allen repeat that he's doing this year? That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about if you're trying to find value in the drafts on quarterbacks and not put yourself out. You need to, I see you, not need to go reach for that quarterback in the first few rounds. It's insanity. Insanity. So, anyway,
10th round.
We'll get there. That's
10th
next
round.
year's
You know
draft.
what? You know what? No. Stop giving people good advice like this.
We've been giving it a whole
You
lot.
want to pick a quarterback in the 2nd round, you go right ahead.
Yeah, well, it's going to happen.
You go right ahead.
It's going to happen. Lamar Jackson.
3rd round, go right ahead.
Lamar Jackson in our work league is gone within the first 5 picks next year.
First 5 picks.
First 5 picks, he's gone. Well, because running backs always
come
go
on,
first.
They're smarter than that.
No, listen. When I come back from break,
I beat 3 smart players on the way to winning the championship. Okay, 3 guys who played, or 4 guys if you count the fact that it was a pair of guys that were the owners. Steve and Clark were the owners of Strikeforce. And I mean, Steve's no dummy. Clark's no dummy. They both have multiple championships under each other's belts. All right, so
I will say this though,
there was a little bit of luck involved, although I squashed them. I mean,
there's a lot of luck in fantasy
45
sports.
points, but still,
when
they had a bad day at the office.
When we go to break, real quick, because it ain't gonna take me long, I'm gonna give you the first 5 picks in next year's draft, and guarantee you that 4 of those 5 picks don't return 5th round value.
Okay. I have a better one for you. Okay, how about this? And it'll be after the break. Formulate what you think the first 5 picks in the office league is going to be, what the first 5 picks are going to be in the Dirty Dozen, and what the first 5 picks should be. How about that?
We got 2 minutes in the break. I'll get it done.
Sure, what the hell is it? It'll take 2 minutes.
I'll get it done. No problem.
Yeah,
I know these guys very well. Yeah.
He's smart like that. He really is.
This is something, real quick, I know we talked about this, just a quick little point. When we talked about the fact that how it's difficult to necessarily find those late round selections, to find the late round picks, one of the things I found about the NFL, which is very interesting, which I kind of had a feeling for but didn't know the actual numbers. You know, the NFL, of the 4 major leagues in sports, they're the only league, okay, that for the last 30 years has had 4 teams at least make the playoffs that year that were not in the playoffs the year before.
Yeah, I love parody.
That's incredible.
I love parody, though.
Now, when you look at the sports
and that's
landscape,
as close to parody as possible.
oh, no question. What it means essentially is that there's always talent out there. You're always finding stuff that may not be on your immediate radar now. It's just homework and just dedication, and listen to the show, and we'll get you through next year's draft too, so that you can be a champion like me and my partner over here.
Yes, yeah. Champions.
Yeah,
well, let me give some shout outs, of course, for our loyal, our two loyal listeners right now, because we only got 2 people in the chat room.
I can't see
because
the
rest
chat
of you are ghosters. Sorry, I put it on my phone. I'll put it up on the board for you too.
Thanks.
But Lou and Frank. Brooklyn Monsters and Lou Lang. And if you're wondering why I look distracted, is because I look distracted.
Because I give you something to do.
Yeah, right.
Sorry.
Well, while you sit there and jibber jabber, yeah.
Good.
But one thing is the Brooklyn Monsters, Frankie, he picked Lamar Jackson in the 12th round.
Yeah.
Because he was an unknown product, because nobody could actually put their finger on what exactly he would do or how well he would do. Mm-hmm. And
well, that's the example of what I'm trying to saying about upside. Is that, granted, if you miss on a 12th round pick, it's not the end of the world. But certainly that's why you have those 10th round, 11th round, 12th round. People, please, in next year's draft, if you have to take a kicker in your league,
3rd round. Take him in the 3rd round.
No, here's what I'm going to say. There should be an award of some kind given to the fantasy player that drafts the first kicker drafted in any league. I think it should be beat down. I think they should take him outside, take him in the back or in the front, wherever you are doing your draft, and just beat him down and teach him a lesson. Because
you can't play with us anymore. You suck.
No, and then and then invite him back next year. So not for the beating.
So you're in next year, right?
Yeah, because we want you to continue to be in our drafts, because we want you to use that approach to be first kicker taken off of the board in every league.
It's awesome.
Defenses too, guys. Do not take kickers and defenses until you have to the last 2 rounds, because it doesn't matter, honestly. And I'm all proposed for getting rid of the kickers, honestly, because who the hell needs kickers anyway? But they can't even make extra points these days. They're so bad.
And fantasy point differential. We're you know what?
We're gonna hammer it. We're gonna crush it next year. Again.
We're not giving this advice anymore.
Yeah.
We're gonna. I think we'll do the intro, the fantasy football, the first fantasy football show next year. We'll do that, but then we're not telling you no more. Okay? Because when it comes to quarterbacks, okay, take a look at your everybody loves Lamar Jackson. Okay, take a look at the difference between Lamar Jackson and number 2, and Lamar Jackson and number 10.
Yeah. Well, we showed it last
points
week.
Per game, fantasy points per game. Go ahead, take a look. Go ahead. We'll wait.
Yeah. Now, Josh Allen was, again, I think came in 9th overall in total points, or 10th, I think it was, in total points.
Right.
But we're talking about point separation. It was about 3 points a week. Now, can you win on 3 points a week? Sure. But can you count on that prediction for needing that? No, because the scores vary from week to week.
I won my damn league with my backup quarterback, the guy I picked for a bye-date quarterback, okay?
Now, Lamar Jackson did win somebody some leagues. I get that. I get that.
Brooklyn Monsters. Brooklyn Monsters are in their 2nd week of the Screwy Louie Football League. By the way, 29 years in running Screwy Louie Football League. We rock. You suck. Anyway, but he's in week 2 of their championship game, and he's got the Lamar. He's got the Baltimore stack. He is the Baltimore Monsters.
Is he playing today, Lamar Jackson?
I don't think he's. If I'll tell you what, I would play Robert Griffin.
I wouldn't.
Why wouldn't?
No.
Oh, he's against the Titans defense.
Steelers were playing today. No chance. Nobody on that team were playing today.
He's got a good backup.
Yeah.
He does. He's got a Frankie. Frankie, who's your backup? Frank, who's your backup? Who is it? Who's your backup? Tell us now. We'll get that. We'll get that info out of the Brooklyn Monster.
But, no,
really
but he knows he's not playing Lamar Jackson today.
But still, why wouldn't you play Robert Griffin? Robert Griffin's been looking for a reason to play.
When Lamar Jackson played the Steelers, he turned the ball over 3 times. Okay, and we lost the game in overtime. Now, granted, things are different then. We're different direction, but still, you're not playing a guy that hasn't played in what, 2 years, 3 years, maybe? You got one start in
spot duty,
but not starts.
He got spot duty. He got spot duty last year.
I don't know. You're missing your starting running back. They're going with Gus Edwards. I'm sure there's other guys that are going to be sitting. Or giving
Gus is fine. He's a strong number 2. It's not like he's coming in cold off the bench.
But he's not a number 1, and you're going against ones on the other side. So my point is that if you have Robert Griffin today somehow, or if you thought about picking him up, then drop him and go pick somebody else.
You're gonna have to stop talking when you pick eye boogers.
I know. No, it's not boogers. I got an eyelash in my
eyelash.
Anyway, so
I'm not blowing it out for you.
Yeah, don't start Robert Griffin today, please. That's just a bad call. But anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Happy now?
There's a couple of games that make sense today, that mean a lot today.
Oh.
There's seedings, there's playoffs.
Have you taken a look at the board?
Oh, yeah. Playing Tannehill. Okay, that's
Yeah.
fair. That's the smartest one.
It's a good play.
It's the most popular play. I will say that. Everybody's figuring.
Well, it's the only play he's got right now.
And again,
okay,
it's not. It's a strong play. If you go by projections, Houston's going to be resting some people. The game means everything for Tennessee. Tannehill's been this and that in the last few weeks. Whatever. Good luck today. I mean, I hope he plays really well.
And by the way, just to revisit your quarterback in the first round thing, okay, screw you. I picked Patrick Mahomes because he threw 54 touchdowns last year. Mm-hmm. Okay, I picked him, and even if I would have only gotten maybe a 30% drop off, and that's a big drop off in production, but no, he cratered this year. Okay, if I'd only gotten a 30% for 40 touchdown passes, you know how many more games that would have probably won me, because I lost a lot of close games with that guy. So Patrick Mahomes, you owe me money. Blink, blink.
I'll text him.
Okay, but I will never.
Wait, actually, I'll text Aaron, and then he'll just call him.
I will never, ever.
Like I'll call him Aaron.
Pick a quarterback in the first 8 rounds ever again.
It's silly. Ever
again.
It's silly, guys. Unless the league changes and they change the scoring.
And once again, I remind all of you fantasy football players, I don't care if you've been playing for 2 seasons, 22 seasons, or 29 seasons like an asshole like me, okay? If you're not willing to learn, you're going to get buried. Okay, if you're not willing to learn, if you're not willing to be smart, you're going to be that guy who is always going to finish one game under 500 and had a lot of fun playing.
Well, every squirrel finds a nut
but
once in a while.
But there's going to be no gold in it for you. Okay, there's going to be no gold. There's going to be no championship in it for you.
Can I just go off track real quick? Happy anniversary to my lovely and beautiful wife, Diana.
Yes, you can.
5 years today.
Congratulations, Mazel Tov.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
It was a
5 years of marriage. 8 years together, 5 years of marriage. So
right. Well, it was a bit of a surprise to some of us, especially those of us who had only known you for a couple of years at the time before you met her, before you got together with her. And I mean, I'm not going to say you were a wild man, because you weren't a wild man. No. Okay, and I wouldn't even say that you were a player. Okay, I will say that the few women that I saw you involved with in the 2 years that I'd known you before you met her, you were a one at a time guy.
Yeah.
Not an asshole like me.
No. Well, I mean, I don't call you an asshole, but I
no.
I see the road you're traveling.
I own it.
Yeah.
I own it.
I'm just fortunate enough to finally get it right. So
yeah, and I learned to get it right too. But I was an idiot. I was a complete moron. And good for you.
Yeah.
And when I first met her, I was like, and I could see immediately, you guys had been dating maybe about 6 or 7 months. And I guess I was your first work friend that you introduced her to.
Maybe. Yeah, I'm sure for sure. Yeah.
You didn't want to bring her around any of us animals from work.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I saw you were like almost like hovering around, like, water. She's like, leave me alone. Just come sit down here. Okay, so you were really doing a really good job.
You got to hold on to what
hold
on to what you want.
A good Italian boyfriend.
There you go.
Italian boyfriends, good Latin and Italian boyfriends are they make sure their woman's got her water, her cigarette, whatever it is she needs. You good, baby? Okay, I'll be over here if you need me. Okay, because when you're young, especially if you're an Italian guy or any of these hot-blooded, passionate ethnicities, you kind of learn from your mother. You kind of learn from your mother that you have to attend to a woman. You have to treat her nice, and you have to make sure that she's got what you need.
It's a respect thing.
Got what she needs.
If you respect your mom, you respect your wife.
Sure.
I have a daughter too, so the example in the bar that I have to set has to be high.
Yeah, I couldn't handle it. She was just a baby when I met you.
So it has to be high. So she's awesome too. I love you, Bree. You're awesome too.
Yeah, well, that's
So
smart kid.
All right, that was a quick thing. Football.
Well, are we feeling personally awkward? You don't want anybody. To know that you're really nice to your wife.
No,
and you were really nice to her when she was your girlfriend.
You just have to spend a few minutes around Diane and I. And
you were a pig before you met her. You were a complete animal. You were a farm animal before you met her. How many times did she have to get checked? No, just kidding. He was awesome.
She did give me something.
I was the pig. Yeah. He was the gentleman. Trust me. I'm still a pig. So go ahead. Back to football and not my personal life.
No, just a few things going on. We got some teams next year. Yesterday was a couple of big games in college. No, we don't focus on college. But there were some quarterback statements perhaps made yesterday. Some guys coming out. There's a few teams next year looking for quarterbacks. We all know this.
Oy vey, are there ever? And it would, you know what? And it would be safe to say that all 4 quarterbacks that were involved in the playoff this year are probably going to go, I mean, with the exception of Trevor Lawrence, because he's not going to go until
next year.
Yeah.
But he could go this year.
No, he couldn't. If he could, he'd be the number 1 overall pick.
Talent-wise, he could go.
He would be the only guy to get picked over Joe Burrow.
Yes.
He would be the only guy that Cincinnati would pick over Joe Burrow.
Yes.
Okay, we're looking quarterback of the future there. He also proved he's got some wheels.
Sunshine can run. Sunshine can run.
You love calling him Sunshine.
Sunshine can run.
You love calling him Sunshine.
He can't pitch the ball 2 feet, but he can throw it a mile. So
my God.
That's Sunshine. Yeah.
But he took off. He showed off them wheels yesterday. Lovely hair flowing in the breeze under his helmet as he's running by.
I wonder if he gets a hold of him and Bryce Harper have the same hair products.
Right.
I wonder. So, anyway.
Yeah, wait. One's a flip and one's a flow.
There will always be a baseball reference in our shows until baseball season starts. You know that, right? I'm gonna. Go ahead.
Circling. Go ahead. Get the clock on your phone.
It's like
get
right
the clock.
Here.
Get the clock on your phone.
On the break, I'll have that.
Okay. Because he knows the exact time.
Yeah, I've got it.
The pitchers and catchers report.
Yeah, I get hourly texts letting me know that another hour has passed. We're an hour closer.
I want to know which catchers are going to be late.
Colts, Bears, Chargers. To me, 3 teams that I think are really, really in need of a quarterback next year. Now I know we talked about the Colts and Brissett, and they've got one. They got him. They signed him. Whatever, the 4 or 5 year deal.
Listen, I will co-sign some of that by virtue of this. Okay, the Colts are going to pick up a quarterback, but I don't think they're going to spend a day 1 pick on them. I don't think they're going to spend a first round pick on them. Okay, there are too many good ones. They're going to want to see somebody that they can possibly develop because they're going to have Jacoby Brissett for at least 2 more years. At least 2 more years. So
here's what I do know about the Colts. The Colts are known to be one of the better franchises in football, from top to bottom.
Smart. Jim Irsay is
They're
great.
Ahead of the curve, ownership, management, coaching, player development, scouting, top 5 organization, and they've been that way for a long time. So I feel like whatever decision they're going to make it correctly. But I do also think that given all those parameters, they're still a 500 team, and they're a 500 team because Jacoby Brissett's their quarterback. I think his ceiling is very, very low. He has a solid floor, but do you really want a quarterback in that division when you're going against the other quarterbacks in that division, like Deshaun Watson? No. Okay, Jacoby Brissett, to me, is not going to be the answer. And
you're saying he's a placeholder?
For now.
Okay, yeah. I'm agreeing.
For now.
For now.
So they're clearly one of the teams.
Might disagree later.
Here's another one that is just, God, this could set this franchise back unless they get this next one right. But Trubisky.
Oh, wow, really?
See ya. Moving on.
You're ready to give up on him, huh?
Well, they are. I mean, he's just bad, and he's been bad and getting worse.
Yeah.
And again, I'll say, we all know this. They passed up Watson and Mahomes to go get him.
Well, it was enough to get McCaskey's name on the ticker that could not return. It might not return next year to Chicago.
Yeah.
So that says a lot.
Those sorts of things can be crippling for a franchise.
And they could also get a general manager or vice president of football operations. Mutual parting of ways.
Yeah. Now, so clearly, of the quarterbacks that are coming out, I'll just throw the list and where they fall. Young from Ohio State, he's coming out. Burrows, we talked about coming out. Tua, who you don't like for some reason, is coming out.
Young, whoa, back up a bit. Fields from Ohio State.
What did I say, Young? I meant to say Fields.
Young at Ohio State is a defensive end that I would love to play for the Dolphins.
I meant to say Josh Fields. I didn't say Young. Burrow, Tua, Thomas from Georgia is the other quarterback. And
Thomas from Georgia.
Yeah, isn't it Thomas? What's his name?
No.
Not Michael Thomas.
No, that's God, now you got me thinking. It's Jake Fromm. Jake Fromm at Georgia.
Okay.
Jake Fromm.
Oh, no, this kid Thomas, didn't he transfer out from Georgia and go to another school? Didn't he go to I'm trying to think what the school was.
Eason. You're thinking about Eason.
No, from Washington. Jacob Eason from Washington, the kid from Washington.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's just go on those kids right there.
Okay.
There's quarterbacks out there, and there's teams that need
bunch.
quarterbacks. One of the quarterbacks I do want to talk about, though, who you mentioned earlier, our 30-30 guy perhaps, is Winston.
Yeah.
What are they doing with him?
I'm going to say that it's another one of those situations where they're going to draft a quarterback. It's like you're pointing out right there on your piece of paper, okay? There are going to be I'm going to go so far as to say there's going to be eight prospects. There are 8 solid quarterbacks that I think that could make, even down to the kid Love from Utah State or Utah, I forget. Love, the kid from Utah is supposed to be good. The kid at Missouri. Oh, geez, right now it's like there's so many names, and sorry, I'm totally unprepared for.
If this is a 1 o'clock
you have
show,
the list.
we get it. Yeah,
I know.
It's 11 o'clock. It's early.
I'm a little hungover from last night too. By the way, shout out to everybody at 11 who I absolutely am positive that they are not watching this show right now because they're still asleep. Yeah, probably. But I went down to that club after the Heat game last night. Well, by the way, woo, go Heat! Overtime winner. By the way, that tip in to tie the game at the end by Simmons, total crock of crap. That ball did not touch the rim, and that game should have been over. And it had nothing to do with the fact that I had to pee for the last 20 minutes, and I'm jumping up and down, woo-wooing at this game. And it would have been really pathetic for a grown man to pee his pants, but we got really damn close. That's how intense it was.
You know what? In a few more years, you can probably just – it would make sense why you'd pee your pants. Yeah, so you don't have to explain it at that point. So it just happens.
Yeah, I'll buy that.
As long as it's just once in a while.
But, okay, back to the quarterback thing. Okay, one thing that you have seen is that portal transfer, a transfer portal, open up for quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. And you've seen these quarterbacks who got lied to by their head coaches, by Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer had 3 5-star quarterback recruits in his room at one time with Haskins there last year. Mm-hmm. Okay. Then you had Kirby Smart. He lied. He had Jake Fromm. He had Eason. And he had one of I'm telling you, it's the kid that went to friggin' Missouri, and I can't remember his name right now. Maybe somebody in the chat room knows who he is. Anybody remember the quarterback that transferred to Missouri that was pretty good this year? I can't remember his name. Saved my life. Sorry, still a little hungover. We need to do this show later in the day after football, Steven. Maybe noon.
Kelly Bryant?
Yes, ding, 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 ding. So you had all of the. Bryant was at Clemson. Mm-hmm. Okay, another one that got lied to. Like, you're going to get a chance to play. Well, we're kind of in love with this guy now. So it is what it is, and what happened is what happened. And these quarterbacks were able to go elsewhere. Even Tate Martell, another guy who got lied to by Urban Meyer. Okay, who. I'm out of there. Yeah. I'm not going to get a chance. I'm not going to get a shot. Yeah. Haskins is gone. And
Eason, who we mentioned, he transferred to Washington. Right. Now he could be a first-round pick.
Right.
1 year and look. Wow.
I don't know about first round.
Potentially late first round, maybe, or an early second round.
The guys that I see as first-round draft choices are, of course, Burrow. Okay.
Tua is going. If he clears medical and there's no medical concerns, Tua, I can't believe you are so anti-Tua. If you listen to the guys that talk football and know football, he's the most accurate of the quarterbacks coming out of the draft. He's one of the most tough-nosed quarterbacks coming out of the draft, and probably one of the most athletic quarterbacks coming out of the draft. And okay. So let somebody else take him.
I need to drink more coffee. What were you talking about again? Hua?
Health is the only true concern coming out for Tua. And if he blows up the combine next year and he shows that he's healthy, he's a first-round pick.
I will buy a number, whatever number he takes in the end, and it's not going to be 13, Cupcake. Believe me, you will not get this 13. This will never happen. You see this? This will never say Tua. This will always, and I remind you all, and I repeat, always be Dan Marino.
Of course.
Okay. So let me tell you about that. Tua. Okay. Second of all, Just like this gentleman right here, okay, when the Dolphins drafted Dan Marino at number 25, which, by the way, ironically, we may have the 25th overall pick, and it
from
would
the
be
Steelers,
really, from Houston.
No, from Houston, right.
No, the Steelers would be much higher because they're going to lose today.
Yeah, you're right. You maybe get 16, 17 for them.
Yeah, it would be great. I would invite the irony of picking Tua at 25. I would invite that irony because, and it's not that I have anything personal against Tua Tagovailoa, Tua T.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a big one. I got a funny last name, and he got me beat. But when the Dolphins drafted Dan Marino, previous to the Dolphins drafting Dan Marino, I did not like Dan Marino at the University of Pittsburgh. I didn't like him because they had him mic'd up, or they had a mic on him while he was in the huddle, and he was yelling at his players. He was being kind of
a general
belittling.
Oh, okay. He was just
he wasn't leading. He was being an asshole.
He was hammering people.
He was being an asshole, and he was being an asshole to Johnny Majors, his head coach, as he's coming off the field. He was just being an asshole. Okay.
Well, he carried it on through his adult life,
right.
too.
It was early in the season, so I equated him to being an asshole. So the 3 times that he lost, I was happy. I laughed. And I believe he also lost the bowl game. That was the infamous hungover, coked out game, where supposedly he was hungover from going out and partying the night before, and he may or may not have used controlled substances, which was the game that got him bumped down from a possible top 10 pick. Rumor, hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, Don Shula, that he slid all the way to the 25 slot, including Ken O'Brien getting picked before him, Todd Rutledge getting picked before him. 2 guys who O'Brien had a good career. Rutledge is a great broadcaster. But
a great college career, though.
I mean, a great college career.
And that's where you're taking these players. You're taking them from college. I mean, so at that point, you I
didn't like Dan Marino at all. Okay, I just didn't. I just thought he was a complete douchebag. Okay,
well, he still is.
And when the Dolphins picked him, I literally said, "That douchebag." Literally said that douchebag. Okay, and even all through camp, he was, how's the rookie douchebag? Okay, he's a douchebag to me. Okay, until the touchdowns started coming in bunches, and I remember the first touchdown I saw him throw, which was he was doing mop up duty against the Raiders. I believe it was on a Monday night too. He was mop up duty against the Raiders. Raiders had us beat. They had us whooped. They had us stomped. They had us 30-6. And I think the final score ended up 30-20 because the rookie came in the middle of the fourth quarter and led two drives, 2 touchdown passes. Each drive was about 4 plays each. It was just 12-yard out, 12-yard out, 15-yard slant, fade to the corner, touchdown. Kick, 3 downs out, use a boom, 12-yard out, slant. I mean, he was hitting the whole route tree.
Yeah, I think we know Danny had a pretty good career.
I went, look at the douchebag. I'm telling you, he was a douchebag to me, okay? And he was still a douchebag to me until I went and saw him in his rookie starting debut against the Buffalo Bills. In the second play from scrimmage, he tosses an 80-yard bomb to Mark Duper. And at that point, I have always owned one of these.
You've justified your love for him? Yeah.
My bad. Now, from what I hear, he has been a douchebag IRL to a lot of people for a long time, but he's also done a lot of nice things and a lot of good things. And the half a dozen or so times that I've met him and I've interacted with him, he's always been nice to me. So,
Dan Marino, that big thing on NFL right now, they're doing the top 100. They just completed the quarterback section of the top 100.
Thank you for taking the ball. Thank you for taking my extended segue.
Everybody's been talking about this. Dan
Marino.
This
is chemistry right here. This is chemistry.
Marino.
We're not even going to do it. We're not even going to do a friggin' break. We're just going to keep going.
Dan Marino was on that list in the top 10 quarterbacks. I got a problem with this list, okay?
As long as you don't have a problem with Marino being in that top 10 list.
I think they boxed themselves into a corner when they were talking about when they narrowed down the quarterbacks to the top 10.
Right.
Now, in my opinion, they started the original list of the greatest 100 NFL players of all time.
Sure.
one of the guys that got omitted from the quarterback section of these 100 players, obviously we know, is Drew Brees. How do you eliminate?
Well, remember, I didn't obviously know because I was doing something else at that time, but go ahead.
How do you eliminate the player
it's ridiculous.
that holds all the records, figuratively speaking, the important ones,
let me show you the face
in a position that's the most important position on the field?
Right. Well, I was this morning old when you told me that happened, and would you like to replicate the face that I gave you, or would you like me to do it?
It was something similar, like.
Yeah, it was one of these. It was
just, again, it makes no sense.
You had to put the head tilt in. That doesn't make sense.
I know that longevity doesn't necessarily give you a pass in terms of, wow, he's been around for so long, he gets this.
Blanda.
Here's what longevity has done for Drew Brees, though. Leads in touchdowns, leads in completions, leads in yards, and he's second in attempts.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, they have a very good chance this year of winning another Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So not only is he the greatest of all time, but at this point in his career, he's still performing at an elite level.
And he could have been a Dolphin.
Again, when you start a list of the 100 greatest players, and then you put yourself in that box where you're going to narrow in 10 quarterbacks and say, okay, these are the 10 best quarterbacks of our time. One of the arguments we talk about all the time, and it's so difficult to compare players from different generations. It's difficult for me to say that Sammy Baugh is better or not as good as, let's say, Tom Brady. Okay, both guys made the list. But what I will say is this, is that with the most important position on any team, on every team, and on the field, and you got a guy that's got a majority of all the important records that matter, the Super Bowl MVP, the Super Bowl title, what he's done, and everything he represents for football, he's not on the list. To me, it's a snub, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's definitely a snub. But let's go back to Sammy Baugh, okay? The dude's nickname was Slingin'.
I didn't mean to bring up Sammy.
Slingin'.
And I'm not even saying again.
He owned all the well, okay, listen. There were the forward pass was prolific before he started playing. Okay?
He started the whole thing in motion.
Bobby Douglas was slinging it around, okay? Guys like that. But when he happened on the scene, when he really started getting it going, okay, it was him and Y.A. Tittle.
Yeah.
Okay, and they just were airing it out. And people had never seen anything like that. And they set the bar in the 50s and the early 60s.
Anybody on the list, but I'm just talking about.
He's a guy that could play now. Okay, I mean, all he would need is an adjustment to his mechanics. But the guy had a cannon for an arm. When they said he could throw it 70 yards, he could legit throw it 70 yards on the button.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, guys like that could really go. Yeah. I mean, we like to argue era to era, but if you take the physical characteristics of some of these players, I mean, you can definitely make the argument that offensive and defensive linemen were 230 pounds, 240 pounds back then. They weren't these big steroided demonic monsters that you see now.
Well, a lot of guys back then had jobs too besides football,
right?
So it's not like they trained all year round, they practiced all year round, they were watching film and
then I got to go back to the machine shop.
The game is so different now, and again, not to discredit the game.
There's dedicated professionals now. There's nobody's going off and like Wahoo McDaniel going off and has a professional wrestling career right after football season.
Right.
I mean, just nobody's going like, who else was it? Ernie Ladd was a professional wrestler as well.
Right.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is that it's so difficult to compare the players from different generations. I like to use, let's say, decades. Players.
And not
in
to
the 70s.
say that everybody now takes steroids either, because these guys have a lot of dedicated training and nutrition and all of that.
Yeah, well, the science is so good now.
Maybe a little bit of steroids.
Well, the science is so good now that you don't necessarily have to take anabolic steroids.
Yeah.
But you can still take other many forms of supplementation. There's a amino wellness now that's out there to get you feeling good about yourself and feeling healthy. There's so many things out there that these guys
amino acids
are privy to. So they have all this very easily now. That's pretty much just trainers, the doctors, all the teams have them. It's pretty much just you do this and you get this.
Testosterone.
Even 20 years ago, they didn't have all that. But regardless, when you have a player like Drew Brees not on this list, to me, it kind of discredits the list to a degree.
Sure.
And I'll say it again, I'm not looking to take anybody off the list. I'm just saying that maybe they should have had 101. Maybe they should have changed the number, made it 101. And then they could have had Drew. They could have put him in there too.
Oh no! Oh no! I can find somebody that
I'm sure we
take
can
off the list.
But realistically, that's not the point
I'm
of this.
I'm a douchebag like that.
The point of this is that not to omit one of the best all-around football players, not just of his generation, but clearly with all the records and everything that he's got under his belt.
Right.
It's just, to me, he needs to be on that list.
Okay. Well, we've gone extra jibber jabbery, and you know what? I say screw the break.
I got work to do on the break.
Why? What do you got to do on the break?
My draft. I got to get 5 picks from next year and the
we
year
can do
after.
that live.
Oh, it's painful.
Screw it. We'll do it live.
We're going.
We'll do it live.
We're going.
We're not going to cut it in post.
Okay.
We'll do it live.
We'll
Bill
live.
O'Reilly it. All right. So, with all three, we're in three, predominantly in 3 leagues, and we have other tertiary stuff that we do as well. But without each other, we actually do this without each other too. We're not colluding. I swear.
No, we don't need to.
We don't need to. We're that good.
I whipped your ass to get to my final.
Yeah.
So
stupid Patrick Mahomes.
yeah.
Stupid me. God, I'm so stupid. I could have had so many other great players that would have helped me so much more than Kermit the quarterback. Well, you became real mortal real fast. But in these 3 leagues, I must say, okay, first of all, the Screwy Louie Football League, a venerable league, 10 teams. I believe there are 7 original owners on that team. There's 7 original players on that team. That Carl's in. Hey, Carl.
Hey, Carl. How you doing, buddy?
Carl came back. Happy New Year. Yeah, Merry Christmas. Feliz Navidad.
Iris,
Merry Christmas,
Carl.
what about you, Iris? Yeah, Iris is like, what about Miami? Yes, Iris, we're going to pick a quarterback. I swear we're going to pick a quarterback. It's going to be all kinds of quarterback. The Dolphins might pick 2. They might pick 2. Whoever they pick in the first or second round, and they might come back. Remember, they got 3 5th-rounders and 2 6th, I think. Mm-hmm. So they could come back with another. They could come back with a projection. A project player.
Top 5 picks next year. Okay.
Wait for Screwy Louie, because that's what I was talking about. Screwy Louie football.
Yeah.
Or just in general.
It's since the leagues have different scoring structures to some degree. They do vary slightly.
They're all PPR.
Yeah, but I think Danny's league, the quarterback is 4 points, and then it's 6 points in Diamond
What
Dolls.
kind of commie? No, it's better be 6 points.
It's not.
We're
The
gonna have to
quarterback
have a talk,
rankings
Danny.
are a lot less. But whatever the
We're
case
gonna
may
have to
be,
have a talk, Danny.
I think we should just focus on top 5 overall, just for the time in the segment. But Christian McCaffrey, who helped
number 1 overall,
lead me to a title next year, number 1 overall. Yeah, I think so. Number 2, maybe Michael Thomas.
Wow, he's like 117 yards away from 1,800 yards receiving. For
More importantly,
5th time in his career, 4th
he has
time.
419 catches this year.
Bananas.
It's insane.
419 easily.
And he has a chance to break that record next week. Barkley, I guess, is still going to hang on to that top 5 spot.
If it weren't for missing 6 weeks due to injury, okay, and then another mediocre week coming back, okay, so we'll call it 6.5 weeks. All right. If it weren't for missing time due to injury, he would have probably posted very respectable numbers.
Oh yeah, he would have been a first round.
Definitely been. No, they would have been below. It would have been below. It would have been way below annual. Even with that 54.8 point explosion last week.
Listen, I got to be honest, and I'll look and see. But even if you projected him out for value each of those weeks, I think he's first, late, maybe second round pick. Because if you look at the players that are in that spot now, we went through it last week.
Right.
I mean, outside of the number 1, which is McCaffrey at like over 400 and something points. When you got to the 10, it was at like 325, I think, was the total point number. Barkley would have gotten to that number. He would have gotten pretty close. I think the argument for Barkley next year is going to be, obviously, he's already who he is minus the injury. People will say that. But I think people are going to find some value and some stock in Daniel Jones and how the Giants are going to be.
But not in the – no, we're talking about the top 5 picks.
No, what I'm talking about in terms of what's going to prevent – or what's going to supplement the argument on why Barkley is a top 5 pick is because the Giants are going to be a little bit better next year. The rookie quarterback's no longer a rookie quarterback next year. So, they're going to look at the Giants as maybe a little better of a football team next year.
Yeah, but their priority going into that draft is going to be defense.
Oh, no question. No question.
They're
but what helps
terrible.
a running back is better defense.
Right.
Okay,
Right,
ball control, and that's what their effort is going to be. So, yeah, Barkley, I think, is a justifiable first 5 pick next year.
Anytime your average possessions per game is under 12,
right,
even if it's 11.5,
right,
okay, you're only averaging 11 possessions. That means your defense is not only getting smashed, they're getting smashed long and hard, and teams are taking 8 plays and 7 minutes off the clock and 11 plays.
Big deal. And then you create a turnover, get a short field, and all of a sudden the whole game script changes and it's in your favor.
And that leads to less touches.
Yeah. Well, 2 more guys that may round out the top 5. What about Dalvin Cook? Man, when he's on the field, he's top 3 for me.
Yeah, but he seems a little brittle, though. He missed 1 game during the season. He just missed this last game.
That's why I said when he's on the field.
Yeah, I want a guy who I'm very confident he's going to be there for all 17 weeks or 16 games.
It's difficult to predict the injuries. I know. You do kind of look at a player's history and go, well, this guy's kind of got this injury. I look at more of like, what kind of injuries are they? Are they soft tissue injuries? Did he get rolled up on, stuff you can't control? So that I don't know right now, but doing our homework next year's draft, we'll definitely look at some of those guys.
T.Y. Hilton has killed me the last 3 years with his injuries.
Yeah, again.
3 years. I'm never drafting. T.Y., I am never drafting you again.
Some guys are
I don't
just
care if it's the 14th round and you're still on the board. I'm never drafting you again, bro. You have 3 seasons, and you have come up with 3 good games, and the rest of them you've been hurt.
Yeah, and those 3 games are usually monster games.
Right.
It's usually like 8 for 130 and 2 touchdowns.
Right.
And then he disappears for 3 weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm tired of it.
Yeah. I got one more. Ezekiel Elliott. Another guy.
Yeah.
Best offensive line potentially still in football. That may not change.
And a new head coach coming?
That's going to change. Yes, here's a new head coach.
What are the odds it's going to be Ron Rivera?
They say he's got the inside shot for the Washington job, I heard. This is the most recent news.
Who would want to coach it? Listen.
I know.
You have to be desperate to want to coach for the Washington Redskins. Desperate.
Maybe there's some ties there somewhere. I don't know.
Really?
Maybe. I don't know.
He likes Daniel Snyder?
Not sure.
Desperate. I would take, if I were Ron Rivera, I would take the Jacksonville job. I would take any other job over the Washington job. Okay, the Washington job should just be a job for guys who are desperate to get a head coaching job. Okay, and Ron Rivera is not that guy. Mike McCarthy's not that guy. People seem to forget Mike McCarthy's still out there lurking. Okay,
he'll get a job though. He's ready to come back.
Yes,
people have talked about him changing his philosophy a little bit, being a little bit more player friendly, all kinds of. So, listen, McCarthy's a smart dude. I mean, he's a smart guy. These coaches need to be working.
Listen, being on top of the mountain for a while changes you a little bit because you take things a little more seriously because of the awesome responsibility of being not only a head coach, but a head coach on a team with Super Bowl aspirations and expectations, and you've already got one under your belt. All right, and you've got one of the greatest quarterbacks in the history, by the way, who should also be in the top 100, right? Aaron Rodgers, right?
No,
not yet.
Not at all.
But
he's got a losing road record over his career.
Whatever.
He's not there.
So yeah, sure, you're gonna have to adjust your attitude, but I just know the only way I go to the Washington Redskins is if Daniel Snyder puts it in writing and on video. I, Daniel Snyder, promise not to meddle, make suggestions in, or say anything in the press or on social media about my football operations other than, well, it was a tough day. And I will give you the talking points. And that is the only thing you're going to be allowed to say. Yeah. You're not allowed to talk to my players. You're not allowed to make any football decisions. This isn't fantasy football, pal. I'm the head coach. What I say goes. What my personnel guys say goes. We don't care what you think. That's the same thing that I would have done to Stephen Ross. Because Stephen Ross is all like, I love Tua. Shut up, little man. You love commercial real estate. That's what you love. You're good at buying buildings in New York. That's great. Good for you. Okay? Yeah. You know crap about football except what you see on TV.
Sign the checks.
Okay?
That's your
Sign
job.
the checks and GTF the way.
Real quick, just back to the draft. We talked about the running backs again.
Owners.
And how I know for sure in the last 3 years, I think the number's been 2 or 3 guys in that first round that have hit actual value. Well, here we go again. It looks like setting up potentially for a draft where 5 or 6 of the first 7 picks are going to be running backs.
Stooges.
Because people in their mind feel like they've got to get that stud running back on their team. And again, I get it. There aren't many of them.
But if it's a PPR league,
again, Eckler, guy this year that wasn't a first-round pick, ended up being a first-round value. So
6th round.
Look at the league. Look how it's changing, the dynamic. We'll get into all that next year. I'm just saying, if you're reluctant to change your approach, then you're not reluctant to get the same result. It's going to happen.
You'll never get one of these.
Oh, that's pretty. That's pretty. So, again, we'll definitely have lots of draft stuff to talk about. But I do want to throw some first quick late
I want my belt, Tim.
About some football games today.
Today's games before we go.
We talked about, each week we end in terms of which two teams we think are going to be the Super Bowl. I know I said the Saints have been pretty accurate and the Ravens. I'll say this about the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are the only team in the AFC that can give the Ravens any bit of grief. And I'll say this why. Because, one, they can score, okay, if they've got all their horses.
Right.
And maybe in another couple of weeks they will have all their horses.
Which is scary.
And I'll say this, too. They've given up the least amount of points since Week 11. So the defense is starting to play a little bit, too. Now, I'm not saying that, let's say it does come down to Chiefs and Ravens, and we're going to tear those matchups apart, break them down every way through Sunday. I think the Chiefs give the Ravens a fit, because if you can somehow get inside of Lamar Jackson's scheme and kind of slow him down a little bit, similar like the Steelers did when they first played him, similar like other teams have done. Not many.
Frustrate him.
Not many. I think the Chiefs have a shot because they've got the components to do it. They've got the pass rush. They've got solid, somewhat now at least recently, back-end guys. And you know they can score. And you mentioned Patrick Mahomes about how he's not leading up to the production he had last year. The guy's still a dynamic threat. He's only second year, and he's like it has been. Mahomes was the shit last year, and he still is.
The Frog mofo,
I'm changing my two teams for the Super Bowl.
Okay.
I'm still Saints.
But
I think the Chiefs are going to represent the AFC.
The Saints and the Chefs.
Yeah, I really do. And that's going to be fun. That's going to be a fun Super Bowl.
This is on video. He can't. I'm not going to cut this. I'm not going to edit.
Well, I could change my mind next week because that's what we do. But as of right now,
you're locked in now.
Okay, well then I'll lock myself in. I'm going Saints and Chiefs, guys. Saints and Chiefs.
Saints and Chefs.
Yeah, Saints and Chiefs for sure.
I am seeing a rematch. What was the Harbaugh Bowl? I'm seeing a rematch of the Harbaugh Bowl, except though there's only going to be one Harbaugh. I'm still seeing the Ravens and the 49ers. By the way, that was a great friggin' Super Bowl, by the way.
It was.
Okay, great, not good.
And there aren't many great Super Bowls in recent time. So that's one of them.
Oh, God, last year just sucked.
There's been a few. It's
a defensive gem. It was awesome. No, it was two offenses that couldn't move the ball. Those defenses weren't great.
I'm going to pick on your Niners a little bit because I still think Garoppolo is middle of the pack quarterback guy.
And
I will say this too.
I usually think you're a smart guy, but that was silly. I'm going to mark this down. I need to time code this. At what point in the video do you say this?
Middle of the quarterback guy. Okay, and I have numbers to support that. Not going to bust them out now, but we'll see today. I will say this about the quarterback who they're playing today, Russell Wilson, who should be, in my opinion, the MVP.
Sure. Oh yeah, sure.
This is something that Russell Wilson has been against so far, and I want to pull this up because this is something that I found.
Well, I don't have the graphic for it.
Wilson leads the league this year, 17.4% on throws deep passes. Okay, so 17.5% of his throws are deep passes. Okay, that's number one in the league. Now, he's 32nd in the league in terms of what his receivers do for separation. His receivers are only getting separation of an average of 1.5 yards per route. That's the worst in football. So you get a guy who's performing at the highest level, who's taken the most chances with the highest amount of risk, and still getting the best amount of success.
Right, and he's also
on a run-first team. Okay,
and he's also a guy who has created some unlikely stars at the tight end position for the Seahawks, because we have seen a progression between three different guys. First, their starter, Will Dissly.
Yeah.
Will Dissly.
Yeah.
Made him a star.
Mm-hmm.
In like 3 weeks, made him a star, especially a fantasy star. He gets hurt. Next guy up, Hollister, was it?
Mm-hmm.
I think Hollister. Yeah, it's like Hollister. What did Hollister do? He was a substitute PE teacher in middle school 3 weeks before.
He was a janitor first, right? Then a substitute PE teacher.
And the guy they have now who I have no idea what his name is. I think he was a Lyft driver 2 weeks ago.
I seen the light in his windshield.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He pulls up to the practice facility and he's still got his Lyft and Uber lights in the windshield of his car. And guess what? Now he's a star at tight end.
Yeah.
And why? I'll say this. It's something that I've been saying about Russell Wilson ever since he was playing at NC State and then he transferred to Wisconsin. I was like,
will be the greatest.
what is this guy with red and white uniforms and changing teams? That was the first time I'd ever seen that weird crap, okay? Because I always thought that you'd had to wait a year when you transferred, but he managed to get a grad student transfer waiver. He throws players open. Throws them open.
Yeah.
Period. Throws them open. Better than anybody I've seen. But the other guy that throws them open really well is Jimmy Garoppolo. Garoppolo throws them open pretty well. You have guys like Ben Roethlisberger, throws them open. Okay, Aaron Rodgers throws them open. My beard is getting stuck in the microphone.
A lot going on there.
There's a lot going on here.
I will say this, though.
I'm sucking it up to be here, but
Seattle doesn't lose that game today. Seattle becomes no chance.
What's the spread?
I have no idea, but I think that
even up friendly bet. I like the Niners. I like the Niners a lot. Friendly bet
straight up or with the points
for coffee. Straight up for coffee. Next week's coffee
for a whole week.
Just next
every day
week's coffee. No, just coffee.
Just one
here.
Coffee.
Okay.
We put a donut on there too.
I mean, how much of your money do you want me to donut? Sure. We'll bet donuts on it then.
Coffee
I'm
and a
donut.
donut.
To have donuts.
Maple frosted for me.
Maple frosted.
That's on record.
You can tell a lot about a person by what kind of donuts they like. What other games do you want?
No, I just again let's not close out Russell Wilson because again there's more to be said. We said this last week. The kid's got one Pro Bowler on his team, and he's on the other side. He plays defense.
Right.
Okay.
Lockett and Metcalf don't suck, though.
Russell Wilson has consistently done it with less year after year and will continue to do so to the point that in 10 years from now, they're going to have to make that list 101 if they want to make it right. Actually, 102.
No, they'll probably end up booting some people out the back end.
They're going to have to put two more names on that list, and
one
should already be on the list.
Quarterbacks,
but Russell will be on that list as well because again,
he has to.
What he does and what he continues to do with less, and his approach to the game. He's unparalleled. He will go down to me as the best fourth-round selection ever in the history of NFL football.
Sure,
because that's where he was taken.
Well, I mean, listen, much of today's offense has become a throw to a spot type of a situation. Get the ball out of your hands quickly, really, really fast. That's one of the reasons why Josh Rosen has had a hard time learning is because they tried the pro-style offense with him in Arizona, and then when he came here, we have 3/4 of our offense is the RPO, get it out of your hands, and he's not that guy. So what you have is a guy like Russell Wilson who is tailor-made for that. But my point to him throwing people open is when he gets out on the run, when he shifts around in the pocket, he's no longer throwing to a spot. The time to throw to a spot is 1, 2, 3. After that, it's freelance.
It's improv. Yeah.
It's improv. And he is probably the best in the biz right now.
Man.
Period.
Gosh,
okay.
I remember draft day and the Steelers waiting, and at that point, obviously it was 6 years ago. 7 years he's been in the league, Russell Wilson?
7, I think, yeah.
And obviously we still had Ben, and he was still doing, but Ben was getting a little trip, got in a motorcycle accident then at that point, and there was a lot of things going on. I was like, let's take Russell Wilson. And we didn't take Russell Wilson.
What kind of a big raw bone monster is that he gets into a motorcycle accident, breaks his face, okay? Breaks his face, got a grade 2 concussion. He had to have like 35 stitches in various places.
Listen, there's a story that came out.
Died.
Thank you. That was the one I was going to tell you. There was a paramedic that wasn't a paramedic, that was a passerby that got to the scene first. Read up on this.
Right.
He had an artery or something that was severed. She actually probably potentially saved his life.
Yeah.
Okay, that's how bad that act.
Yeah, he was busted up.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the history could have been a lot different for Ben Roethlisberger if he wasn't a little fortunate in certain spots.
But he made it to camp.
And he played. I mean, he's a tough SOB. There's no question about that. A lucky tough SOB. But that's going to be interesting next year. He says he's all in, so we'll see. Steelers get healthy next year with that defense. If they get a little bit of semblance on offense, that team's going to be scary next year.
They don't have a first-round draft choice this year, so I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe they'll find somebody in the second round.
I don't know. I mean, but that's next year. We'll talk about Steelers next year.
We'll
we got a
talk
shot
about
today, yeah.
I'll make fun of you in the Steelers next year. Okay, so our next game, or our final game that you want to talk about?
I don't know. The only games. It's funny how they moved all the important games to 4 o'clock today. The 1 o'clock games are kind of like, what does it really matter? I mean, seedings play out, but it's the 4 o'clock games that matter.
The NFC cluster, the NFC East cluster is.
That's the 4 o'clock. They moved that Philly and Giants.
So how's that going to work out?
I think Philly beats the Giants today. Every year you seem to have a team that gets hot come playoff time.
Right.
Philly's got the talent. They got one of the better quarterbacks in football that's playing pretty well right now.
So the Redskins beat the Cowboys for the final ignominious 7-9 record.
They could. I mean, the Cowboys are a disaster, and they're not going to get better the last week of the season when the coach that's already got his pink slip. So that team, I mean, they could win on talent alone because they're clearly better than the Redskins. But what are they actually playing for?
Jerry Jones, here's what I expect from Jerry Jones. He is going to keep Garrett. I'm telling you right now, he's going to keep Garrett. He's going to keep Garrett.
No way.
He's going to keep Garrett.
He can't.
He's going to keep Garrett.
They'll burn the stadium down.
He's going to keep Garrett.
All right, they'll burn the stadium down.
They were trying to get rid of him last year. They said he was going to burn the stadium down last year.
It's over. What I want to know is, what is his team's speech today? I want to be a fly in that room. For me, it's 2 words. It's see ya. See ya. I'm going to go fishing. I'm going to get on the ATV and go back to my little farm and wherever the hell he's from and just chill for a while. Because
I think now, and what's really funny, what's really set up for it is Lincoln Riley took one of the worst beatdowns of his college football career yesterday.
Yeah.
At Oklahoma. Okay. Kudos to LSU. Kudos to Joe Burrow. 7 touchdowns
in the first half.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. He had one of his wide receivers had 14 catches for 229 yards and 4 touchdowns.
That just shows you how weak the conference is.
When you take a look at Oklahoma and all the shootouts that they won, okay, I think Lincoln Riley heads to Dallas. I think he goes to Dallas. I think Dak Prescott stays, gets signed to a decent quarterback. I don't think he breaks the bank. I don't think he goes over the $32 million a year mark.
That's about where he'll land.
It's about
30
where he'll
to 32.
Land. 30, 32, exactly.
Yeah, with a lot of guaranteed money.
Right. So he is the quarterback of the future. He's the quarterback of the Dallas
And he should
Cowboys.
be. I'm a Prescott guy.
Right.
I get it.
Sure.
You can win with Prescott.
Sure.
Yeah. With that offensive line and Ezekiel Elliott, its coaching has kept that team back, and that's why
you can't let Cooper get away. You can't let Cooper get away. If you let Cooper get away, as borderline stupid. I mean, it is borderline stupid.
Won't. No, they'll find
Cooper.
a way.
Even if you sign him to a 2-year deal, a 2-year mega loaded deal, so maybe to buy you some time and give him an extension off of that deal, you need to sign him.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's been good in spots this year, but he's also he's a Hilton-esque type guy too, because he'll disappear for a few weeks at a time. That was his MO at Oakland. That was his MO coming up. Was that great talent, great speed, physical specimen, route runner, AAA across the board.
Who's the other kid at wide receiver they got there?
Gallup?
Yeah, he has really, really blossomed this year.
Yeah, he's had a good year too. Yeah.
Okay, because
he's had some injuries too.
But teams have had to shift their safety over to Cooper's side of the field.
Yeah.
And that's given him a lot of places to fly around.
Yeah.
And the Cowboys finally have acknowledged that you have to have quality at the slot position. Not that they didn't have quality slot position before Randall Cobb, but having a guy like Randall Cobb at that slot position is huge for their offense. I think he's good for a half a dozen monster plays.
I think that now you're seeing the shift in the NFL is how important a good tight end is also.
Yeah, oh yeah.
These tight ends, for the most part, are on the field 90% of the times. Even if they're not in pass coverage, running routes, they're still in run protection.
Right.
And you got guys like Kittle that do it really well. He's a beast out there. Run protection, can run routes, can catch the football. How good would Dallas have been this year, or how much could they have benefited from a Jason Witten guy, let's say even 3 years ago or 2 years ago? Have that sort of player on the field
this year anyway.
In spots. Yeah,
he wasn't Witten. I mean,
because
not
age
catches.
and other things. Okay, but I'm saying is, if the Cowboys with that offensive line, again with their structure in place, certainly with Zeke, and he's got at least 2-3 more very good top 5 production years in him, I'm sure. They're just a few pieces away, and then when you add a coach and you got that thing going in the right direction, Dallas is going to be a scary team next year.
No doubt about it. All right, let's start taking this thing home. And fair warning, local AM terrestrial radio, we're pretty good. Holler at me. We'll come do 2 hours with you.
I heard terrestrial. Are we doing aliens again still?
Terrestrial, not extraterrestrial.
Oh, I heard terrestrial. I heard aliens. All about
He's
aliens.
all excited. Look at drinking his coffee.
Keywords pop in my head, and they all relate to aliens. I don't know why. So.
Hashtag the truth is out there. But I've been in somewhat email talks with some local terrestrial radio, and I don't want to be accused of hubris, but I think we could bring a more interesting 2 to 3 hours every Sunday morning than a lot of the programming I'm hearing out there. But that's just me. I might be biased. My throng of half a dozen viewers might also be biased too. Isn't that right, Iris? Tell them, Iris. What do you want, Wicker? So before we go, I want to wish the Brooklyn Monsters good luck in their second of 2-week fantasy football final.
Me as well. Good luck.
Okay. And but we've already got ours. You of course. Well, me of course. I have a lovely championship belt, which is awesome. And you, I hear that there's going to be a new championship symbol or a new championship token for
our league, for
Danny's Dirty Dozen. Yeah, it's
for his league.
It's a major award.
Wow, is that from Christmas Story?
It's a major award.
Yeah, that's
for
nice.
Geely. I think it's Italian.
Yeah, that's very nice. But that's not going to be the award. I can't keep that in my house. No, we have introduced the same kind of thing, and we're going to pick something out, Danny and I, and we're going to introduce it for this year as well. So
I still say you go with the lamp.
Yeah.
So if we didn't express this, we of course we hope you had a wonderful Christmas, and we hope that at least some of you others out there have enjoyed fantasy success this season. It's been a pleasure bringing it to you. DFS today, you're saying avoid Tannehill, even though everybody else is going after him.
Yes,
and we of course we wish you a safe New Year's celebration.
Can I make just one New Year's proclamation that I wish everybody would just kind of adhere to? We all make our New Year's resolutions. I'm going to the gym. I'm doing this. I'm doing this.
I already go to the gym.
I want to do this. I want everybody to consider these 3 T's, okay? Because we all have at least one of these 3 T's.
You've been saving this up, huh?
Yeah. And if we can just express and share one of these 3 T's with your neighbors, with your friends, with strangers, with family, I'll just make it very simple. Time, treasure, talent. Okay? We all have at least one of these. Okay? Share it. Give it up. Okay? Make that your New Year's resolution. Okay? Make your neighbor proud. Make your neighbor proud to be your neighbor so that they can perhaps then pass that along to their neighbor. And all of a sudden, we're all neighbors. Isn't that a wonderful thing? For all of us to be just neighbors? Half my neighbors, I don't even know who the hell they are, to be honest. Now, I'm partly to blame for that.
You're Mr. Rogers. Is that what it is?
All of us have one of those 3 T's. So my
It's a beautiful day in the
New Year's resolution to you all is to give up one of those T's this year. Make it a point. Okay.
Hi, everybody.
We all have it. So that's it. That's all I got.
So it's
Happy New Year. Safe to everyone. Treasure,
or
talent.
We
all have one. Some of us have more. I got 3. I don't have treasure. I have a little talent. I got a lot of time.
Wait, but we have treasure. We won our leagues.
Well, I mean, treasure in terms of, like, for instance, use Dan Marino, for example. He's kind of a douchey. Whatever we all talked about him. He's got lots of treasure. Treasure could be anything. Treasure could be donations to charities. Treasure could be if you don't have time to go down to your animal shelter and give an hour or a Saturday, then put $20 in the mail. Okay, that's the treasure part of what I'm talking about. We all have some form to give back.
I donate all kinds of silliness. It's really funny you should say that because in this year, in 2019, I have my usual donations, $100 here, $100 there. The reason why I have junk mail, and
spam calls.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But like the Wounded Warriors Project, I donate $100 to them.
Good.
Because I really, the veteran homelessness, especially combat veterans who are homeless with PTSD.
Veteran anything.
That makes me mad.
Veteran anything.
Right, but that makes me mad.
Yeah.
Okay, because we're talking about somebody who went out and fought and almost died.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah, okay, got hurt and had PTSD and disabled, and they're living... Yeah. They're living with under a shopping cart, and that just makes me mad. Yeah. But I won't get all social justice warrior on you. But this has to be a year where I have donated the most money to all the various charities. I've also had a couple of friends who have had some really hard luck. My friend Brian, he lost his wife in a car accident.
Yeah, it's very sad.
Which reminds me, I got to call that guy. I thank God that he has such a great support system around him because I would call him and to talk to him about it, and we both break down crying, and we're both big dudes. Yeah. So that would be a really silly scene. But, you know, I've helped a few friends out this year, not necessarily major amounts of money, but, you know, that's what it's for, because I'm right now, I'm currently blessed. I'm not in the chips or anything, but I'm doing okay. Life is good. I'm able to have a nice lifestyle and save a little bit of money.
It's very simple.
Save towards things in the future.
I mean, hopefully, when it's all said and done for all of us,
forward.
Whenever that time comes, you don't get to take any of it with you.
No.
And you're measured upon not what you take with you, but what you left behind.
Right.
So it's an effort, and it's a process, and we're not all great at it. Some of us are not even good at it. And I'm not claiming to be either one of those, but I'm just saying, if you put the effort into it, and if you use those 3 T's, we all got one, just share it, give it up, all right, work hard at it, and there's plenty to go around. So
wow, an extra heavy ending to our final show.
Make the world a better place.
And no New Year's resolution?
That is my resolution.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mine is never pick a quarterback in the first round ever again.
I agree.
And I've got it right here on video.
Yes, there
in
you
case
go.
I do that stupid thing at number 10, and Lamar Jackson slides down at number 10, and I'm like, Lamar Jackson. No, it won't happen.
And with the second selection in this year's fantasy draft is...
Just shut up,
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I'll take Saquon Barkley all day. I'm going to go buy a Saquon Barkley jersey because I have kind of a tradition of buying those. Somebody stole my Emmitt Smith jersey, but I've got my LaDainian Tomlinson.
Talk to Bill.
Who won me 2.
Talk to your basketball buddy from last night. He's got a site over in another country
that
he gets them from very cheap.
I've seen it, yeah. And it's
and
also...
they're on the spot good.
And they're one size too small.
Oh, I don't know if they have your size. That's a whole different argument.
They're one size. No, I've ordered a 5X from that site.
Oh, wow.
And it was one size too small.
Oh, well, sorry to hear that.
So it's Chinese. I think it's Chinese 5X.
Well, you know, sorry. What I do, I get so excited. My jerseys that I typically buy, I hang up. I don't wear them. It's so damn hot down here. When you get to wear your jersey?
Fanatics.com.
Yeah, it's just
Mitchell
so hot.
and Ness.
Yeah, if I lived up north, I'd wear my jerseys more.
I got a great discount. I'm not going to tell you how much I paid for it because I got it cheap because I got a great discount because they send me discount coupons and stuff like that because I bought other stuff for people for Christmas.
Coupons.
But I bought myself this. It was very, very cheap compared to a lot of Mitchell and Nesses. It's the right perfect size. It's awesome. So, but now that, excuse me, here, let me show you. See, Mitchell and Ness, beautiful, orange, aqua, old school. All right, let's get out of here because I have to go pick my DFS, which I'm going to pick Tannehill against your wishes. And I want to wish everybody a happy and healthy New Year's Eve celebration. No DUIs. Behave yourself, and come back to us next week where we will fire this thing up for the actual playoffs. And we will the playoffs. Like the playoffs. You know, the playoffs, no longer fantasy, but real playoffs. And we'll start to sneak in some basketball and some baseball. We'll talk about speculate on baseball and stuff like that.
Yes.
And yes, Iris, baseball. So
I'm going to be starting a January 1 daily Instagram for NBA DFS.
Dingity ding ding ding.
We'll be tying it into the show as well. MLB Joy Us. Come follow me. And again, I will put as much promo stuff out there as I can. I'm already talking to my friends, get the word out there. But a format will be established shortly. A couple of minutes, just a quick segment, just to get you all introduced to some NBA DFS.
Okay.
Starting January 1.
A new thing that is happening with every Gonzo Radio Network show, you will be able to check out all of our social medias on the card that is coming up right after I shut my mouth. So on behalf of myself and the Maz, say goodbye to the nice people.
Goodbye, nice people. Happy New Year to all. Be safe.
All right, and we will see you guys next week.